So you think about leaving California and moving to the great state of Texas? Well, we did so several years ago, and in this video, we're going to discuss the 7 main reasons why we chose to leave the great state of California. Stay tuned. I'm Andy.
And I'm Patrice.
And today we are going over the 7 main reasons why we chose to move to the great state of Texas from our home of California.
Yeah, it was a tough decision.
But before we do so, just to introduce ourselves, we are local real estate agents specializing in all things relocation for the great state of Texas. So if that is of interest to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell so you're alerted every time we do a video.
Yes, and don't forget to give us a call, text, or email, whatever you have to do to get a hold of us. Just get a hold of us. And of course, fill out that dream home form so we know what it is you're looking for in your dream home.
Absolutely. So now let's get started, Patrice, Lee, Adam. Let's go over these 7 main reasons. I mean, there were plenty of reasons, but 7 main ones that we found for ourselves that were just a personal reason why we chose to leave California. Now, I will say this. It was an extremely tough decision. It's not something that comes very easy. We were born and raised in California.
Family
proud
and friends.
To be from California, so we understand the emotional pull that you get, as well as just the anxiety, all the mixed feelings that go in. Not only do you have the excitement of going to a new place and exploring, like the great state of Texas, but you also are leaving family, friends behind, and everything. So,
and in some cases, uprooting your children, which is what we also did, and that was a stressor too, because you don't know how your children are going to do. So yes, it is stressful.
Our point is this: you have a friend, right? You have somebody that through the trenches, have been there, done that. We've helped hundreds of people move from California to Texas, and our whole game plan is set up and designed around you to make it as easy as possible. So, without further ado, let's just get into our 7 reasons, right?
All right.
And the first one is affordability.
Of course,
right?
Yes.
Everybody knows it's expensive to live in California. Not only do you have all the taxes, the housing, the price of food, gas, everything is just a little bit higher. You're paying a premium to live in California.
Yep, pays to have that beautiful weather.
It does. It does. I mean, it's a good reason why it's expensive, but nevertheless, it is expensive.
It is.
When we sold our home in California, we bought a house that was three times the size for half the price.
Right.
When you're raising a family, in California, it was a nice house too, but it was just one of those things where we couldn't justify. We were in our starter home, and our starter home wasn't in the ideal school district, right? But in order for us to get into the school district that we wanted to, the next city over, we needed to have some extra money. And just when you take into Prop 13 and the extra property tax that now we're not going to be locked into, and all that good stuff, it was just, it was a $500,000 jump just to jump up to a modest house in the next neighboring city. So that was a tough pill to swallow.
It was.
Which we didn't.
We did not.
We did not swallow that pill. We moved right out here to Texas.
Which leads us to our next reason we left, which was schools. Because we were not in a good school district, we had to make a decision. I mean, either we, make that huge jump, or we find another place to live that has great schools.
Yeah. I mean, California, much like everywhere, I mean, I think Texas is the same way. There's the haves and have-nots as far as school districts are concerned.
Yep.
We were in one of the have-nots. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what it could be or what we wanted for our kids, right? So we, like a lot of people, used our family and friends' addresses to get into a better school district. And we did so, and then they were moving.
And the family was moving, so we couldn't use it anymore.
So they were moving to Texas, so we moved to Texas. And so that's what happened. So schools are a huge part. In the suburbs around the major metros in Texas, all have great schools. I mean, the schools were absolutely phenomenal everywhere we go in the state. So schools are number 2. What's another one, Patrice?
Well, kind of, which leads us to that also, is the future for our kids. I mean, if we couldn't afford to, make that jump up, they're definitely not going to be able to afford it. And so that we needed to also, think of that.
Yeah, we saw the writing on the wall, right? Things were just progressively getting more and more and more expensive to live in California. And it was just, hey, at some point, if things continue to grow and crescendo, so to speak, as they were going, 20 years, forecasting 20 years down the road, 25 years, what's going to be the options for our kids?
Right.
Salaries are basically stagnant, and the housing costs and everything else, the cost of goods are going through the roof.
Yeah.
Where does that leave our kids in their future? So, not the best schools.
Right.
And everything is out of control price-wise. Started looking elsewhere.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
All right.
So what was another reason that we left?
Well, the tax law. I mean, we just felt like we were being taxed on everything. There was always a proposition for this, a proposition for that, and all it did was mean, bonds and taxes going up and gas prices, they're adding up on that, everything. It's just, and we didn't see it.
And being business owners, that didn't help either.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and we just didn't see the return, right?
Yeah.
The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. At some point,
Yes.
it was just all give and no where is our
Like we were told that, the schools would be improved and stuff. We never saw any improvements in schools. And here, man, they build a school every time it gets too big. So, that makes it very nice and an easy decision.
I mean, it's insane the amount of schools and just the student to teacher population. I mean, like I said, and going back, these are all kind of mixed in together because it's all one big giant emotion.
Right.
But to compare the schools and the tax dollars, what you see out in Texas versus in California is night and day.
Yes.
It's not even comparable. During the pandemic, all the kids got laptops.
Yes, so they could do school from home.
So they could do school from home. I mean, every single one of them. It's just brand new schools. You've got a 15 or 16 to 1 student to teacher ratio. Whereas in California, where we were, and we're in Southern California, it was 30, 35 to 1.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
I mean, it was not a great situation. I don't know how our kids were going to get ahead. So that was a big concern. But now we're kind of getting into the last 3. Those first 4 are kind of
very personal,
wrapped up. But the next 3, I think, are the kind of the drivers, the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The things that you could probably deal with and tolerate by living in California, I mean, you kind of expect it, but these last 3 are just kind of like we're just getting out of control.
Number 1 is homeless. The homeless population. Yes.
And the needles and everything. I mean, it just was spreading. It was like gremlins, right?
And it's gotten much worse recently. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's even, I mean, we made a great decision. Not only, I mean, was it the best decision we've ever made? Absolutely. Moving to Texas. I mean, we saw one homeless guy yesterday.
Yeah,
and it wasn't
was
even like a
shocking.
big deal. It just had a sign there, and we're like, what the heck? But when we go back to California, we go back there a lot. We go back there 6 times a year or so, and the homeless is just, it's out of control. Yeah. It's out of control. There are whole cities, tent cities. You've got all these motorhomes and stuff like that just parked on the side of the roads. And what's worse now than what it has been is that it's going into the suburbs, right? It's creeping into the suburbs. It's going into the neighborhoods. You've got multi-million-dollar homes, and you've got a guy camped out, living on the curb.
It's too bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a sad thing. It's just California in general. It's just not what we are used to and what we grew up with, right?
Yeah, but that leads to another reason, which is the political climate.
Yeah. So we try not to be very political on this channel, but the political climate was such that I don't need to explain to you, but it just
leave it at that.
the political climate. If you know, you know.
You know.
Right? And just let's just talk about Texas. Texas, it's, you know, from an entrepreneur, business owner standpoint, there's no better state in the union to be in Texas. No state income taxes. I mean, it's just very independent, right? It breeds that independence, and that's kind of what we wanted for our family, and that's where we're at.
That's right.
And then I'll bring us to the last one.
Okay.
And that is the traffic and overcrowding. I mean, it just takes so long.
This is like your Achilles heel right here.
Oh, my heart. We flew in just on a recent trip to LA for Halloween. And we went there, flew into LAX, which is problem number one, and tried to get back into Orange County. And
because hours.
2 hours. 2 hours to get, and I was just like, you've got to be kidding. It was like 20 miles. And here, to give you an idea, you know, we drive around at 5 o'clock at night, and there's nothing. You know, maybe as you get into the metro areas, you'll get some traffic, but you know, Dallas, Austin, Houston. I mean, the Texans complain about traffic. It's nothing.
Austin has more than we do for sure, but not nearly as bad as California.
It's horrible. It's horrible. It's just the overcrowding, right?
Yeah.
There's so many people moving into California, and believe me, I love California.
I know.
This is not a bash California thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's just too much. Too many people. Just, you know. So anyway, those are kind of 7 reasons. There are more, and like I said, we have been there, done that. We know the emotional struggle that it is. You know, one day you're all in on moving, the next day you're like, oh my gosh, I could never leave California. We know it. So it's tough. We've been there, done that. Like I said, if you're thinking about moving to Texas at all, go ahead and hit that dream home forum. Let's have a conversation.
Yes.
Like I said, we've been there, done that, and so we know all the struggles.
Yes.
And like I said, we've helped hundreds of people move from California to Texas. We have agents all across this great state, and we're ready to serve you. We treat everybody like family. And if that sounds of interest, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that bell, so you're alerted every time we do a video.
That is correct.
Until the next time, I'm Andy.
And I'm Patrice.
Take care.